Welcome back to the Cabin Podcast. I'm Andrea Belke.
And I'm Megan Christian.
The Cabin is brought to you by the Wisconsin Counties Association and the WCA Group Health Trust. And Halloween is right around the corner. It's spooky season. How are we feeling, Megan?
Not good. You know I don't like scary stuff.
See, I love scary stuff because I don't really get scared.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like a total scaredy cat. But I'm excited for today's episode because we are here with Badgerland Legends himself, Jeff Finup. Welcome back to the cabin.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some haunted places in Wisconsin and different things to do. I'm pretty excited.
Well, and the first time that you were here with us, Megan was out sick, I believe.
Yeah.
So it was just you and I holding down the fort. But
Thanks, guys.
We talked a little Bigfoot. We talked Hodag. Right. But I think for this episode, we want to cover the most haunted places in Wisconsin and things that you can kind of do and get ready for Halloween.
Yeah. I mean, I think we should start off with, do you believe in ghosts?
I do.
You do?
Absolutely.
Have you ever had an experience that made you believe?
I've had minor encounters, nothing so profound, but enough to let me know, yeah, there's something more to this.
Yeah.
And that's kind of led me on the quest to kind of seek this out further and kind of keep working. And Wisconsin has to be one of the most haunted places in the country, if not the world.
Really?
That's a pretty hot take there.
It is. So a book I received, I was probably about 8 years old, was called Wisconsin Lore. And in the foreword to it, the author says, if the yarns are any indication, being the stories, Wisconsin has more ghosts per square mile than any place in the U.S.
Really?
And that kind of struck me as profound as a kid, because you thought, the Hollywood stuff, you'd see stuff in England, you'd see stuff in California, maybe New England, but knowing that these things could be right in our backyard really kind of took it to another level and was like, it's closer than you think.
I'm already getting like, yeah. Do you believe in ghosts, Andrea?
What?
Do you believe in ghosts?
I was just like, I'm in my head thinking that it's crazy that Wisconsin's one of the most haunted places in the U.S. I still can't get over that.
Yeah, you just like were like transported to another dimension.
I do believe in ghosts. Yes. I don't know. To me, it's not ghosts like Casper or like a white floating thing. But I believe in spirits. I think that there is more to this life. There's possibly other realms. I had one experience in New York where my friend was visiting. We were going to bed in my dark room and it was completely dark. There was we had a window, but the shades were drawn. Like there was no possible way that light could come through. No possible way. And I want to be very clear. There was a moment in my life, there's before I believed in spirits and after. So this was the moment. It was very life-changing for me because I always would write it off. Oh, when I would hear a ghost story or a story about a spirit, I would go, okay, I mean, were you drinking? I mean, okay, the door slammed. Was there a gust of wind? Like I always would say that, but I was laying in my bed and I was just looking up and my friend was kind of like falling asleep. And so she didn't see the first time. And all of a sudden I saw a bright white light and it was I thought there was a laser pointer. I'm like, where did a laser pointer come from? And it was making this pattern on the ceiling and it was bright, so white, and it made a little pattern for about 5 seconds. It went away and I started freaking out and I was going, oh my gosh.
You're like, did you see this?
Yeah, and I woke my friend up and I was like, oh my gosh, there was a bright white light. No, it was like a laser pointer. And she said, is there a lightning bug in here? I'm like, no, you don't understand. And so I thought, I'm crazy. I'm absolutely crazy. And we were just kind of staying up and talking. And then maybe 10 minutes later, the same bright white light that looked like a laser pointer was on the wall. And she saw it as well. I'm like, look. And she saw it. And we both didn't believe in anything and we couldn't come up with any natural explanation. We set up for hours. Could a light bounce in from where?
Yeah.
There's nothing. Yeah. So I And okay, it's really funny too, because I don't know how much I believe in mediums, but do you know the Long Island medium, Teresa Caputo?
I've heard of her, yeah.
Okay, so she's this medium, and when I worked at People magazine, we would have them come on the show, and it was the next day she happened to be a guest on our show, so I told her about this, and she said, oh, if it's bright and white, it means that it's a good spirit, maybe just someone passing through. So I kind of look at it, maybe it was Twinkerbell. You know, maybe it was a fairy. I don't really have any definitive thoughts on what it was. Maybe there's some natural explanation I'm not aware of, but I just kind of now am more open to it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely believe in ghosts. I've had like 2 separate encounters. One when I was really little, and I know it happens to little kids a lot where they can like make things up in their imagination and stuff. But my grandpa passed away when I was like just born, my dad's dad. And I was just playing in the living room one day and I go, Mom, who's that? And she goes, what? What do you mean? I was like, that man in the Packers sweatpants and the gray shirt. Who is that? Glasses? She goes, Rick, get in here. She like thought someone was like robbing our house, like a homeless man snuck in or something. And my dad goes, oh my God, she saw my dad, because there was a picture downstairs. He was wearing the exact outfit.
Oh, wow.
And then my second encounter, I was at a haunted insane asylum and my nose started bleeding 5 minutes after I walked in. And I was like, no, I'm like shaking. I'm freaked out already. But then at the Maxwell Mansion, we were doing all that stuff where they were doing the mind reading. And then I started to feel like I was going to pass out when they were telling the ghost stories. So yeah.
Yeah, so
needless to say, I am a believer.
Yeah.
I'm a mega believer. But yeah, that first story, my mom was so freaked out. She was like, oh,
and you remember
God.
being a kid and seeing a man
I
there.
like can picture it in my head right now. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. The TV was playing. I was dancing with my little Dora and Boots toy.
Yeah. I mean, they do say that kids and then older people are closer to whatever is after this, right? Don't they kind of say that?
Closer to the veil.
Yeah.
You see the other side. And like I have 2 kids and they have said things that are like, how do you know that? Or what actually went on? My son, when he was probably 3 or 4, kind of recalled like it almost sounded like a past life memory.
Whoa.
And then we asked him about it like an hour later and he has no recollection. And we're just like, that was highly odd. So I think, yes, kids, older people, definitely closer to that edge, to that veil, maybe another side.
I just want the answers.
I'm fascinated by it, to be honest with you. You'll know someday.
Yeah. Well, I think it's all so fascinating just because we don't actually know. And I think that's what's kind of why it's fun to talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think? Should we just hop into some?
Yeah, I think before we get into the haunted places, I do want to just break down what Badgerland Legends is for people that don't know what you do.
Yeah, so it started as an Instagram account, just a way for me to, tell the stories, retell them in kind of a unique perspective. And started about 5 years ago and have amassed probably 1,400 posts, all from Wisconsin, all legends. People, places, things, anything that makes Wisconsin legendary, especially the hauntings, which we have a lot of. And that's actually my favorite topic is haunted places. And we can kind of get into it here. So Andrea actually tasked me to put together a top 5 list of most haunted places in Wisconsin. Now, that was kind of a tough putt, but I think I pulled it off. Now, if you'd asked me next week or if you'd asked me 2 weeks ago, the list might change. And I want to hear what other people think are the most haunted places, because maybe they're places that I haven't even heard of. And that's one nice thing about this, doing this for 5 years. I always have somebody come up to me, oh, have you heard this place? I know I was just listening to your episode, was it Wisconsin Wonders? And they're talking about the train museum in Green Bay being, and I've kind of heard that, but for him to kind of get specific about it, I was like, okay, that's another topic added to my list to cover. So let's start with the Sheboygan Asylum. It's the current building. It opened 1942 and operated as a mental health institute until 2002, where it was shuttered and, the patients were moved to a new facility. And in recent years, it's become kind of a paranormal playground. the Fox Valley Ghost Hunters, they kind of took over the ghost operations, or kind of started that up. And you can go there on, weekend nights and see and experience this for yourself. They have very dedicated tour guides that will take you around places, tell you a little about the history, and then also the paranormal activity that they've experienced. So definitely on, not numbering these, but definitely on the list for the top 5.
So people can go. You can go and check it out.
You can buy a ticket. They will take you on a tour. A lot of the tour guides have their own ghost equipment, and they have developed relationships with whatever resides there. And they can get the spirit communicators, whether it's a spirit box or an EMF rope, and they can get it to like light up in response to questions, or they'll say, remember when we were here last year, or remember last week when you said this, and they'll actually have what seem to be intelligent responses.
Wow.
So I found that profound. I took a tour with my wife a few years ago, and kind of blown away, and I've been back one time since. And
do you have any of that ghost hunting equipment yourself?
I have a few things. I have what's called the ghost box.
Okay.
Spirit box, SP7.
And that's the one that lights up, right?
No, the SP7 is the one that uses the radio frequencies and scans through it. And the idea is that if something can communicate with you, it will actually come across that skipping white noise. Wow. And you would think if it's just a radio station, you would hear it like on just like one quick blurb, right? Like, okay, that's a DJ voice.
Yeah.
But when you get an intelligent response, it's up across multiple skips of that white noise. And it really raises the hair on the back of your neck when you actually hear.
So you have heard it before then?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Wow.
Anything like evil, or is it just like, hi, how are you?
No, a lot of times it'll be garbled or something trying to come through. Nothing evil, nothing like get out.
Yeah.
But still something, it's like, it's kind of hard to separate, like, okay, did I just kind of hear that in my mind?
Yeah.
But something definitely playing with us.
At the Sheboygan Asylum, are they saying that the spirits are people that passed away there, former patients and stuff?
Most of the time it's patients, sometimes caretakers. I think one nurse on the upper level, but mostly patients that might still be there or might have a profound impact that the institution was on their life, and some kind of memory is still stuck there.
Wow.
So do you think then, before we move on to the next place, that when a place is being haunted, that person is primarily in that place, they're kind of like stuck there? Or do you think it's more so like that part of their soul that was so involved with that place?
It's really hard to pinpoint. A lot of people think it's, they think there's intelligent hauntings, that something is physically there, and other people think that it's like a fractured part of, their essence is still embedded in there. And then there's the other kind of hauntings, that something happens here every night, or every, on this date every year at the same time. And that's like kind of just a residual haunting is what they would call it, rather than intelligence. So I wanted to keep this list to places that people could actually go. So the next one I have it's called Dead by Dawn, Dead and Breakfast. Now, Dead by Dawn is actually kind of play on words, because the owner of the property, the operator, her name's Dawn Dabick, and this is in Manitowoc. It is the oldest commercial building in Manitowoc, and she kind of made it into a paranormal amusement park. So she was in the horror business, kind of the haunted house business, and then after they retired, they had a lot of the props and the equipment, and they set it out in this old commercial building, and they invite people to come explore it. They have like a tiki bar, they have like an apothecary kind of like gift shop, and then they actually have a guest suite upstairs with 3 different rooms. So if you want a girls' weekend, this is your place.
I will not be going with you.
So they give you the option of a restful night or a restless night. So if you just want to stay in a place that's creepy with a lot of hauntings and a lot of these props, they have themed rooms. They have a very specific themed kitchen that directly ties to Wisconsin. I will not spoil it, so you will have to go there to check it out. But it has to do with a very prominent character in Wisconsin. And
like
you can kind of
serial killer.
Yeah, I would say.
Okay.
You can post your guesses in the comments, but when I stayed there, we didn't have any of the shenanigans going on. We got to explore the place and really get a feeling for it. They have kind of like a little psychics parlor, and when we were kind of gathering around the table trying to make contact, we heard some loud crashes and stuff up above us, kind of something making its presence known, and there was nobody else above us.
Oh.
So kind of a crazy place, definitely one of the most active places.
So it's actually a haunted spot, because I thought maybe it was kind of just made to be like you know how sometimes a haunted house isn't actually haunted.
Yeah,
it's just kind of like
for fun.
For fun.
Yeah.
So both. So they have that element. If you want that restless night, they will send these costume characters into your bedroom to raise all kinds of hell. But they also have specific paranormal activity that, on the property, people that have come in touch with stuff. There was, I think it's now defunct, but it was Wendigo Paranormal that hosted the group, and they have kind of had a relationship with Dawn, and also kind of formed a relationship with the place, and kind of known the backstories about everything there. So definitely something to check out if you're a little more inclined to being scared.
When you're going to these places, do you like to research the background first or learn about it while you're there? Does it like up the spook factor for you?
See, just doing this, I usually know a lot of the backstory, but I'm always looking to pull out more details.
Yeah.
So I always have kind of an idea, but if I can hear a different version of it, or kind of do more research and be like, did this actually happen here? Like staying at the Maxwell Mansion, so much history at that place, both, historically and also paranormally.
Yeah.
100%.
And no matter when you go, if somebody's open to talking about this, you're probably going to learn a new story.
Yeah. Are your kids into haunted things?
So my son is 6, and I think he's very inclined to this stuff. So I think once he's a little older, he'll really be in it. My daughter is 8, and she's in it. We're actually going to go to a library presentation of Chad Lewis tonight. And she's looking for it, and it's actually on the same topic. So it's Wisconsin's most haunted places, and she gets a little scared. She might have a bad dream, but I think she's kind of intrigued by it, which
curious.
I try to foster that.
I mean, it's better that way than the opposite, where they go, "Oh, Dad's up to his shenanigans again."
So you have a dad like that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Dad's dressing in his Bigfoot costume again.
You'll have to listen to our previous episode to learn the whole backstory on that, because it's fun. So the next one is actually a place that anybody can go to pretty much any day of the year, and it's Aztalan State Park. Now, it was once the home of a vibrant mound building culture. Its most prominent trademark is the stepped mound. Some people say that they resemble pyramids. Now, of all the places I talk about, I have more people saying that they've had experiences at Aztalan State Park.
Well, and I'll say, if you are an avid listener, we did just talk about Aztalan, and I have been there filming, and we kind of talked about the history. We didn't go into it being haunted, but it makes a lot of sense because there's burial grounds.
Yeah, there's burial mounds. One of the most prominent burials that was excavated. They no longer do that, thankfully. It was called the Princess of Aztalan, and she had these ornate pearl necklaces in her grave, kind of grave wrappings or grave ornamentations.
Whoa!
And they called her the Princess of Aztalan because she's clearly a prominent member of that community.
It's so wild because on one hand, it's so cool to dig up something like that, but I'm really glad that they stopped excavating.
Yeah. And one of the things that they did was there was some kind of ritual human sacrifice there from the burn charts and remains that were found there. And they think that may charge some of what people are experiencing. Now, when I talk to people, professional photographers that go out there, they capture like misty apparitions, faces in some of their in some of the photographs, and then people hearing like drum beats or chants. When I went there with my family, it was like 10 o'clock. It was high skies, sunny morning. But when I went down by the Crawfish River, that's when it kind of took on a little darker vibe. And I was kind of thinking and I said to my wife at the time, my wife, not at the time, but my wife, that it feels like maybe a little after dark, this place takes on a different vibe. So I'd like to check it out. I went there for the solstice 2 years ago, and that was incredible.
Yeah.
There's a specific solar alignment right across one of the main platform mounds there, and there was burials on top of that mound. And the idea was that when the sun passed over on the summer solstice, that it carried those souls to the great beyond.
Huh. Yeah, every time I've been there, it's been very overcast skies. So you kind of do get that feeling of like there's something more to this place. But I believe one of the mounds is like specifically a burial mound.
Yeah, so it was, they say there was a structure on top of it for like a high chieftain, but there was also a burial that was discovered on top of that.
Yeah.
Oh, and then when we talked about this last time, we personally didn't know or see any record of where the people from Aztalan went, because they kind of just disappeared in 1200 AD. Do you have any theories on why they just disappeared?
The most prominent theory is that, either game migration or climate, the climate changed and then they had to go, there's one myth, and I'll say that there doesn't hold a lot of weight, that they moved south and they became the Aztec people. But I don't know if that holds any water. But it's just one of those extra layers of legend on top of a prominent place like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a very cool state park. I debated going last weekend, but then I had a sinus infection, so that failed.
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah.
Again, it's part of the state park system, so buy your pass, park there, learn a little bit about the history of the place, and maybe you'll have your own encounter.
Yeah, there we go.
So the next one, Jericho Haunted Trinities.
Anything called Jericho just makes me feel haunted immediately.
I've never heard of this one.
So this one is between Lake Winnebago and Lake Michigan. It's on like one of the glacial lobes. So it's kind of in kind of a nether region, liminal space as they would call it. The site consists of, it's called Trinity. So it's a school, rectory, and church all on the site. And it's been abandoned, and it's recently been taken over by another paranormal group. And they've had profound experiences there. One of the team members, he had recently lost a loved one, and she was out of state. And, he had, collected some of her belongings, came back. And then while he was in the church, kind of conducting an investigation, had a very profound experience where he feels that he got in touch with her. So, other things are furniture being moved, audible voices, doors and opening and closing with no known cause, not wind or draft or anything like that. And just, the litany of paranormal experiences. And it's something that's just kind of been discovered or opened recently. So a lot of people are coming there and checking it out and having their own experiences. I haven't had a chance to get there yet, but it's on the top of the list.
Okay, so that's one to check out. And then what's your last one on this top
five?
So
the Pfister is probably Wisconsin's most famous haunted building. Now, it was the preferred accommodations for the traveling teams for both MLB and the NBA. And I think baseball players are probably the most superstitious people in professional sports. They have to have their socks a certain way. They got to put their socks on the left foot first and then the right foot, and they have to have their lucky rabbit's foot or whatever. So they are very supernaturally or superstitiously inclined. So a lot of MLB players will not refuse to actually stay there. Famously, Mookie Betts of the Dodgers, whenever he comes to Milwaukee, he gets his own Airbnb because he doesn't want to stay at the Pfister. Wow. Bryce Harper of the Phillies, he also had an experience there. I believe something in his room was moved without somebody coming in. So there is just a litany of paranormal experiences. So I think with the Pfister, it's not more who haunts the place, but who's actually being haunted by it. Yeah. So, every time around this year, the Journal Sentinel will run a story about the Pfister and its haunted history. So definitely a cool place. My wife is actually going to have a conference there in the spring. So I'll finally get a chance to visit and stay there.
Yeah, there we go. And that's in Milwaukee for people who don't know that.
Yep.
The building's really beautiful to look at. And a lot of famous people go stay at the Pfister, I think, when they're
Sir
here.
Paul McCartney, it's his preferred accommodations whenever he's in Milwaukee.
Yeah. I mean, the Pfister's beautiful. They have that nice bar up on the top, blue. Highly recommend. I didn't know that there was some hauntings going on there, so that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's always one of the top places for hauntings.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about the rave too. The rave is like said to be very haunted.
Yep, the pool
we
at the rave.
posted a video a while ago, and you guys were like, the only thing that's haunted is the area around it. And some people were like, I've worked here for a while, and it's definitely haunted. So.
Yeah, so that's a lot of history right there, because you have the Pabst Mansion, you have the rave, and then the Ambassador Hotel, which was the site of Dahmer's first victim.
Yeah.
First murder in Wisconsin, anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of sometimes I see, and I don't like this, when people talk about Wisconsin, they're like, well, we know about cheese and serial killers.
Yeah.
So I don't love that.
It's like, wow.
That's a great reputation.
Team that's like really good.
We have good beer too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, beer, cheese, serial killers, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great list. I was doing some research, and since we kind of were just talking about Milwaukee, I also saw that the Milwaukee Public Museum is on a list of haunted places.
It's one of the most haunted places, and unfortunately, the Milwaukee Public Museum is going to be demolished and replaced. So
wait, when?
I think next year, 2027 maybe.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
It's slated for because they're moving it to a new facility, which, as a history buff, I want my museum to be in an old place with plenty of stories. So, a new overly modern monstrosity is being built to accommodate the Milwaukee Public Museum, but that's more reason to get out there. One of my favorite stories from that place is there was a director that was the director of the Milwaukee Public Museum in the 70s, or up until the 70s, 59 to 69, is Stephen Borhage. And he has been seen throughout that place because he had a very specific article of clothing that he wore. He wore a cape. Now, one of the stories that I've heard,
like a superhero cape?
More like maybe like a Phantom of the Opera style cape.
I was like, are we just talking around the
more,
neck here?
more grand.
Okay.
So, Mr. Borhage, Dr. Borhage, he's been seen throughout there. One of the stories is that there was a mother and her daughter that got on the regular elevators, and for some reason, it took them to the staff floors. Well, the doors open, and an unusual man got on and then got off at the next stop. And then the mom or the daughter looked at the mom and said, "Who was that man?" And then they walked into one of the main areas where they had kind of a memorial to Dr. Borhage, and they recognized him as the man on the elevator.
Wow.
But whenever you have a place like that has so many artifacts, so many historical, a lot of people think that the spirits might come attached, or there might be some kind of energy that's attached to that.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe would it be because you're moving those bones and moving?
Anytime you disrupt something, maybe, something gets attached to that, or something is stirred up.
The Cabinet's brought to you by the Wisconsin Counties Association, and this week we are featuring Rock County. Rock County is filled with history, charm, and packed with things to do. Rock County was founded in 1836 and is named for a specific rock that jutted out from the Rock River, a landmark for Native Americans and early settlers. There are so many cool places to check out in Rock County. You have Janesville, Beloit, Evansville, Milton, just to name a few, even Footville, which is a real place in Wisconsin. Did you know that, Megan?
I did.
Okay, you did. For activities, take a stroll through the scenic trails of Rotary Botanical Gardens in Janesville, or paddle along the Rock River for a view you will not forget. For those into history, you're in luck. Rock County is home to the Lincoln Tallman House, where Honest Abe himself once stayed. There are some great places to see art, Check out local galleries or catch a live performance at the historic Janesville Performing Arts Center. And here's a fun fact. The first Wisconsin State Fair was actually held in Janesville, Rock County, in 1851. For more information, go to wicounties.org.
The Cabin is also brought to you by the WCA Group Health Trust. Serving local governments and school districts, the WCA Group Health Trust partners closely with members to fulfill their employee health benefit obligations in a fiscally responsible manner. Learn more at WCAGHT.org. We also have Second Salem considered in Wisconsin.
Yeah, so Whitewater is known as the Second Salem, and it's kind of gotten that reputation because in 1888, a group of spiritualists kind of moved into the area, and there was a specific spiritualist by the name of Morris Pratt. Now, Morris Pratt received from a psychic premonition from, I believe it was a Native American spirit guide, that there was a rich deposit of a specific like ore in hematite in a mine in northern Michigan or upper Michigan. And he was able to invest in that mine and was able to make a windfall. Well, with that windfall, he started this spiritualism school, and they called it the Spook Temple. You have kind of a derisive name. You got to think you have these Christians, the Catholics and Protestants in the area, and then these guys move in who are spiritualists, and they think they can get in touch with the dead, and they actually build a center around it. So it got kind of a witchy reputation. And then about that same year, this Starren Park water tower was constructed, and that was right downtown. It's still there. It's actually being threatened with demolition just because it's falling into disrepair, and the maintenance bills are kind of piling up. So if you can get a chance to go see that, it's this beautiful old brick, water tower. And they say that the witches would commune on top of that hill and dance around the water park in the moonlight, which kind of gives the imagery. And then there's 3 haunted cemeteries. And then I know we talked about cursed objects. Well, there is a specific book at the Whitewater's Anderson Public Library that's said to be cursed. And it says if you check this book out, it will drive you insane.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
So they say that 3 students fell subject to this, as well as a janitor. Now, you can go and actually see this book. They don't let you check it out, but you can set up an appointment to see this cursed hymnal. And it's an old Latin hymnal from a Lutheran church, and it looks like something, straight out of a horror movie. It's kind of leather bound with a cross on the cover. And then if you open it up, it's just regular Latin hymnals, but it has taken on that reputation.
That's really interesting.
Just kind of an added layer. And then Second Salem, a brewery opened up called Second Salem. So you can go and you can get your beer there, the Witch's Brew, I believe they call it, or Witch's Tower Brew. And then they also have a Beast of Bray Road lager there because it's not too far from Elkhorn.
So the Beast of Bray Road is close to...
Yes.
It's right if you go straight east from Whitewater is Elkhorn.
That's really cool, especially if you're into this kind of stuff. It'd be nice to kind of go to both.
It's really cool because you have Whitewater, you have Elkhorn, and you have Lake Geneva, all kind of in a line there. Mm-hmm. And then Burlington is in there too, and that has some interesting history as well.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Beast of Bray Road, because I was looking online and it came up on, it was a list of
top 3.
It was in I can't remember the website, but it was a list of most haunted streets in the U.S. And Beast of Bray Road came up number 3.
Yeah. So 1991, Walworth, Wisconsin, or Elkhorn specifically, was gripped with werewolf mania. So it was right around the end of the year. A publication called The Week, they ran a story by a local author by the name of Linda Godfrey, and she talked about these werewolf sightings that were occurring around Elkhorn, and specifically a road called Bray Road. And she kind of gave it the title of the Beast of Bray Road. And it got so popular that it got picked up in syndication and republished in I think the Journal Sentinel picked it up, and it attracted like a current affair, and they came down to Elkhorn, Wisconsin to get, dive deeper, interview some of the people that had this encounter with this upright walking canine. And ever since she published that, it's been a buzz about that, and people have been reporting an upright walking, I would say, for the lack of a better word, a dog man, because it's not a werewolf because it doesn't transform. It's a fixed area. So Bowers Road is the road that runs parallel, kind of at an angle, to Bray Road. And it's known to be the nexus point. There's a guy by the name of Lee Hampel who does hay rides at his farm, and you can go and visit his property, and he's collected thousands of like trail cam photos of anomalous things, whether it's lights in the sky or interesting smoke, and he'll show you that as well as like I think it's like a 7 padded track imprint that he was able to find on the property and actually get a cast of. So he believes that there's something there. He believes it's more of a spiritual being as well as. So it gets wild, and to kind of step into Lee's barn and kind of go over the evidence and hear his theories of it, it just kind of blows your mind.
Maybe it's just like a werewolf that learned how to, or like a coyote that learned how to do a fun little trick, and everyone's just freaked out by it.
So people have claimed that they have seen a upright wolf, coyote, dog.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a upright walking dog man.
Yes.
If you look it up online, I looked it up right before this. Like, it is like creepy. It's big. It's like a giant wolf.
Yeah, it's much bigger than like a coyote.
Yeah.
So
maybe just a fun wolf that wanted to show people a trick.
So funny story is I was in the barn with Lee and one of my friends who's very skeptical about this stuff. And he's like, "How do you know it's not a Bigfoot?" He said, "Because it's the Wisconsin dog man." And I was just like, okay, I need to find an exit before I start laughing, just because he's very adamant that it's not Bigfoot. It's its own thing, and it's specific to this property.
Have you ever heard of the Concord House?
I have not.
My mom tells me funky stories about that place in Concord, Wisconsin. And apparently it was like homecoming one year, and 2 students went missing and literally have never been seen since. And it took place at the Concord House, and people like can have their wedding there, and they get like weird vibes from it, but you'll have to look it up.
I will add it to my list. See, that's, I've been doing this for almost 6 years, and I hear new stories like this every day.
It's freaky. I refuse to even drive past it.
It's always interesting when you hear stories, and then whether it be Bigfoot or the Hodag or Beast of Bray Road, and then more stories come out, and you always kind of wonder, okay, who is just trying to get attention, right?
Yeah, so there's always that element of it where people will they'll either look for attention or sensational, or they'll look for a reason to promote their business through it. So you always kind of have to take that into effect, like who's to gain. But then there's always these people who will say in hushed tones, like, I had this experience. And then you're like, okay, I take that with a lot more weight and a lot more stock, because, they have nothing to gain.
Then you got the fake Hodag.
Yeah.
The Hodag is real.
At the carnival.
The Hodag's real. It was yes. He put it on for the stage, but he's still out there in the woods of Rhinelander. Don't say anything different.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, we have time for a few more. So any more haunted places in Wisconsin?
So I know you are a theater kid at heart. And there's I know in your recent Discover Wisconsin, Supernatural Wisconsin, you got to visit 2 theaters, the Grand in Oshkosh and also the Grand Theater in Wausau.
Yeah.
There's another place, it's on the other side of the state. It's by Eau Claire, near UW Stout, Menominee, called the Mabel Tainter Theater. It was built by lumber baron Andrew Tainter and his wife, and they built it as a memorial to their daughter. They had a 19-year-old daughter who had a ruptured appendix, and she ended up passing on. So they built this grand theater right there in Menominee, and people purport a female ghost, and one of the staff members there has seen like a white apparition flowing through the halls. So I'm under the, I often make a joke on my page that every theater is haunted. And I believe that because it seems like wherever there is that outpouring of, theater or energy, there's something that remains there. So I think, every theater is haunted, and Mabel Tainter is one of the most beautiful theaters in Wisconsin. And to have a ghost story associated with it, especially, the tragedy of them losing their young daughter, and then being able to build this beautiful playhouse in her honor just kind of resonates.
I think that like a lot of theater kids also don't know that theaters always put a ghost light out so that the ghost can perform when people aren't there. And I think that that's a really cool aspect of theaters too.
Yeah, I love that. A lot of people say, well, that's just so that the prop people the prop people can see when it's in low light situations. But I like your story better.
Yeah, when I was in Mineral Point, we went to their opera house, and she was telling me, she's like, and here's our beautiful ghost light, because we like to give them their time to shine and come perform. Yeah. So I had a bit where I was just like dancing, singing on stage with the ghosts. But
I know you did the Grand Oshkosh tour, and the theatrics that you guys were able to capture. It's just like, wow, okay, now I have to go see that tour.
The little girl like spinning around on stage.
That was great. Your crew did an excellent job with that. So next we have the Mansion Hill Inn in Madison, Wisconsin. Now, I particularly love this story because it goes back to Madison's second capital. So now, if you are a history buff like I am of Wisconsin, you'll know that the current capital is actually the fourth Wisconsin Capitol building. So this would have been the second one in Madison, or the third one in Wisconsin, the first being in Belmont. So this was a specific mansion that was built for the contractor that worked on that second capital, and it was designed by the architect that he worked with to design that capital. And it has since been lovingly restored by Trek Bikes and the Burke family. And when you walk in, it's kind of a memoriam to a lot of the Trek's earlier bikes and the father, Dick Burke, of the Trek bikes. And then there's also a hallway that shows a lot of the building and the construction of the capital, of that specific capital. So one of the clerks there actually had an encounter where she saw a ghost of a workman that she recognized from one of those photos and she could actually point him out in that picture. And this is an absolutely great place. It's a small hotel, kind of like a B&B feel to it. And they're very welcoming. Me and my wife, we had dinner at the Edgewater, and then I had been there a few weeks earlier for a cocktail party with some other friends. And I said, you need to check this place out. And they opened the doors for us. They said, feel free to walk around. Let us know if you have any questions. Feel free to, take pictures. And then you could walk this spiral staircase all the way up to the cupola. Mm-hmm. You have like a perfect shot of the Madison's, the Capitol Dome there. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely a place. I live in Madison, so there'd be no reason for me to stay there. But I'm like, I wish I lived further away, so I'd have an excuse to actually stay at the Mansion Hill Inn. So check it out. A lot of times they'll have like jazz nights where they'll have the cocktail bar open, grab a cocktail, walk around, listen to some good music.
Okay, I also want to ask you about cemeteries. And I feel like it's controversial, right?
It is.
If you go to cemeteries, I know there's a lot of like haunted tours for cemeteries. Even when we were talking about fall festivals, I think Apurba brought one up that, people do that kind of for a fun, spooky time. What are your thoughts on touring cemeteries?
I absolutely love it because that's where the history is. I think, yes, that you should go to cemeteries. You should go honor the people that have passed on. You should find their stories and share them, but also be respectful. I recently did a reel at a small cemetery, a private cemetery in Peninsula State Park in Door County, and I caught a little bit of flack from a specific commenter about that, because it is a private cemetery, and people find, they'll see it on Instagram or TikTok, and then they'll go there, and then they'll leave what they consider to be litter, which are kind of offerings to a little boy that's buried there, that unfortunately he died of tetanus when he was only 8 years old. And they say that his spirit remains. They said they see him by the Eagle Bluff Light Tower, which was one of his favorite places while he was living. And then other paranormal investigators will come and they'll bring that spirit box, and they'll actually get in touch with this his name is Hugh Melvin, and they call him Huey. And he'll actually come through. And one paranormal team actually said that, would you like to play a game? And he wanted to play hide and seek. Oh. Now, if you play hide and seek with a ghost, I'm guessing you're going to lose every time. But it was just kind of a cool story, a cool place. But yes, be very respectful whenever you're going to visit a cemetery. Remember that these people were once living. They had family. The family might still be around. So show your respect. I think cemetery tours are great. They're a great way to learn history. But again, respect is the name of the game.
I'm with you there. We went and cleaned graves in elementary school. I feel like that's kind of a weird thing to do in elementary school, but they're
say so.
Yeah, but we had to after we cleaned them, we had to put a piece of paper on them, do a crayon, bring it back, and then research the history of that person. So I guess it was a 2-for-1.
Yeah. So there's a lot of controversy about cleaning them. I think it's honoring them, especially if you talk to the family and they say, yeah, we would love that.
Yeah.
And then the gravestone rubbing, some say, well, that rubs off the grave marker. But
yeah. There's this one girl on TikTok that just does it for views, and it makes me really mad.
Yeah, I've seen her, and she does it in a very flat affect.
Yes.
And it's I don't know how to feel about this.
It's okay, don't do that, guys, but go learn your history.
If you had to say the most haunted town in Wisconsin, what would you pick?
So you would think, Green Bay is the oldest, right? Milwaukee's the biggest. But this is going to be controversial, but I'm going to go with Madison.
Wow.
Madison, it's not that big, and it's kind of dominated by the lakes, but the number of stories you get per square mile of Madison, I don't think anything else can touch it. We got Whitewater, that's a lot there, but Madison. So I was tasked to do a small kayak tour by one of the local boat companies in Madison, Brittingham Boats, also Madison Boats, and I was able to gather 6 unique stories from a 2-mile paddle just through Monona Bay and on one lake of Madison. Madison has, famously 4 or 5 lakes. So to be able to pull 6 stories from that small of an area was okay. And then we even talked about expanding it next year and doing a pontoon cruise, because there's other stories that we were able to find that were we definitely need to cover that one. Oh, I wish we could paddle over here because there's another great story over here. So I think ghost per square mile, Madison is where it's at.
What are the haunted, if you just had to name the haunted spots, haunted buildings in Madison?
So there are so many, and chiefly the Capitol has so many different stories. And then it seems like every little bar and restaurant you stop in, there's going to be a story or two, especially if they've had any. Mickey's Tavern, kind of on the east side on Willie Street, that's famously haunted. And there was a really cool place. It was called the Bar Next Door, and then later the Wonder Bar. It has since been shuttered, which makes me sad, because that was my local bar when I first moved to Madison, and that has a story of bootlegging. And I actually talked to one of the managers, and they had an old Polaroid of something that looked like a gangster kind of in smoke in one of the cupola windows. And it's a shame. I hope they can resurrect it, because it's such a beautiful historic building.
Yeah.
And there are so many other stories like that. With American Ghost Walks, Madison Ghost Walks, they have 3 different tours of Madison, including the campus, which has a ton of haunted buildings, including Science Hall, Bascom, North and South.
Yeah.
Oh, you know about that?
I knew about this. They tell you when you're going on a tour there. Yeah.
that's awesome.
Even if you just take a campus tour, like the tour guides will tell you, like, oh yeah, it's rumored to be haunted.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, students, get in our DMs or in the comments and let us know what hauntings.
If you were in Celery and had a great experience, with a ghost, let us know.
Yeah. I love it. All right, well, we're kind of running out of time, but is there anything else you really want to point out?
Yeah, I would just say, we're in the Halloween season, and it's great to experience these things on Halloween, but you can do this year round. Do your research. Grab one of Chad Lewis's travel guides to most haunted places in Wisconsin, and just pick one and check it off your list. The one place that I would really recommend people go to is the House on the Rock. They have the dark side of House on the Rock. In that, I'm not really into the haunted houses or the scary jump scare stuff, but they do such a great job with their characters.
Wait, is this at the House on the Rock?
At the House on the Rock, yes. It's
like a haunted house on the rock.
It's an after hours tour, and it's kind of limited to, just a specific route, but they have costume characters, they have flashing lights, they have all kinds of creepiness. It's creepy in the day.
I mean, I was going to say that place is scary the way it is.
Imagine walking by the doll exhibits or the carousel, and it's like, ding, 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 ding.
That's
creepy.
they'll
have costume characters playing creepy music, and it's such, you'll go into one of those places with the automatons where you put the money in and play, and there'll be somebody that sneaks up and scares you.
Oh,
wow.
It's definitely a place to go. And if there was one place in Wisconsin that I would like to investigate and just kind of have a run of that place, that would be the House on the Rock.
Yeah. I mean, we've all been there. It's very eerie and weird. So
yeah.
Well, Jeff, thank you so much. You're so much about Wisconsin, and especially when it comes to kind of the haunted places and stories.
Legends and lore.
Yeah.
A well of information.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, where can people find you?
At Badgerland Legends on Facebook and Instagram. I have a book out that I wrote for my kids called Wisconsin Legends for Kids, and it gives 10 legends that stuff that happened in Wisconsin, something to kind of get their feet wet in the paranormal.
Yeah, good. Start them young.
That's right.
All right, I love it. Well, thanks so much for coming
on.
All right, Cabin listeners, that is all we have for you today. Stay tuned for a little behind the scenes look at an episode after this, but until next time.
Happy Halloween.
All right, the next supper club you've got to check out is the Del Bar in the Wisconsin Dells. They are a third-generation family-owned supper club since 1943 with an upscale supper club experience. They've got prime-grade steaks, fresh seafood, including Lake Erie walleye, and fresh East and West Coast oysters that are delivered 3 times a week. They also leverage as much locally grown fresh produce as possible, especially in the summertime, and everything at the Del Bar is homemade. All their desserts, dressings, sauces, you name it. Classic cocktails and an extensive wine list is another bonus there. And they also have longtime staff members. Their head chef has been there for 35 plus years, and a lot of the servers have been there for 5 or more years. Customers can create lifelong memories and traditions at the Del Bar, so be sure to go check it out.
We don't always think about this, but transportation delivers for Wisconsin. Roads, rails, air, all form a network that powers our state's economy, connects farmers to markets, factories to buyers, vacationers to their cabins. You get the picture. But when one part breaks down, everyone feels it. Higher costs, longer drives, fewer jobs, and less safety. Later today, head to transportationdelivers.com for updates on efforts to promote safe, reliable roads and bridges for today's Wisconsinites and generations to come. That's transportationdelivers.com.
Looking for your next outdoor adventure? In Racine County, the trails will take you there. With more than 100 miles of connected trails, you can explore everything from winding woodlands and open prairies to scenic lake views, whether you're biking, hiking, horseback riding, or even snowmobiling. These trails don't just connect communities within Racine County, they link you beyond to Kenosha, Milwaukee, and Walworth counties, creating one seamless outdoor experience across southeastern Wisconsin. Every mile brings something new to discover: fresh air, local wildlife, and landscapes you can't see from the road. So grab your gear, hit the trail, and see Racine County like never before. Racine County, where every path leads to something beautiful. We are back with another behind-the-scenes look at an upcoming Discover Wisconsin episode, and this one is all about Ho-chunk Nation. So right now we have our producer on the episode, Brett Rolstad. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
How's it going, Brett?
It's going great. How you doing?
I'm good. Well, this episode seems really fun. This is coming out on broadcast November 1st and 2nd. So can you kind of give us an overview? What are people going to see on this episode?
Yeah, so it's a compilation episode of, we have an ongoing series with the Ho-chunk Nation. So we make a series of shorts with them, just all about culture, heritage, preservation, stuff like that. And this is a compilation of those 3 shorts put together. So we're talking about Ho-chunk code talkers, the native language, and a chef, Elena Terry.
Amazing. Okay, what are code talkers?
So in World War II, the code talkers spoke their native language to communicate with the front lines, and then they would have a translator behind the lines to translate, and so created a code that the Japanese, mostly in the Pacific theater, were not able to crack the code because they had no idea that each tribe was kind of speaking their own individual tongue, so they were never successfully cracked.
Wow, that's really fascinating.
Really interesting.
So you kind of do a deep dive into that.
Yeah, and this one is focused on the Ho-chunk. The Navajo code talkers were pretty well recognized across the nation, but there's all these other tribes, including Ho-chunk, who had actually the most code talkers serve in World War II. And so this is just focusing on them and getting recognition for them. Then there was a stretch of Highway 94 that was dedicated to what will be called the Ho-chunk code talkers highway.
Wow. And then you said you met with a chef as well. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yep. So that one is actually up for Emmy nomination this year. We'll find out in October, November. And yeah, that's with Elena Terry. She's an amazing person, an amazing chef. And it's just really an inspiring story.
Did you get to eat any of the dishes?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what was your favorite?
I mean, everything was delicious, but we did an event with her, and I think there was like 10 other chefs, and they each prepared their own course. It wasn't all Ho-chunk people. It was kind of just a slew of different chefs, and they each created like a dish. So, I mean, overall, I think that was just an amazing experience because I got to try all the dishes. And hers was good too as well.
What's a specific food that is native that was featured in the dishes?
I think one thing that she taught me that I still make for like my family and my kids is wild rice with dried blueberries and put a little bit of maple syrup in there just to sweeten it a little bit. It's kind of almost like it's just a substitute, a more nutritious substitute for like an oatmeal. You can have it for breakfast or a side dish or something.
That actually sounds so good, and I
Yeah.
don't like oatmeal, so I might be
That sounds
trying that.
actually really amazing.
Yeah, it was super.
Can you give me the recipe?
It's super it's simple. It's like wild rice and dried blueberries. You boil it like you would rice, and then you put a little maple syrup to sweeten it.
Wow. Okay, so if you're watching the episode, you'll kind of get some inspo for different dishes too.
Yeah, I think so. We don't really go to, but you can look up Chef Elena Terry and find out more information and stuff.
Yeah.
Some of her recipes, and
Yeah.
she also does catering for events if you're interested as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you have like a favorite part of filming everything for this episode? Or is it kind of hard to pick?
I mean, the chef thing, I'm a big foodie, so like the chef piece, like I spent a lot of time on that one, and I was really interested. It was a great story. She was great on camera, great character, just like in general. Really just accepted being with open arms, made herself available, and we got to go and film with her several times. And so that one I kind of spent more time than I normally would on a short. So yeah, I think that one was definitely, and I love to eat, so it was good.
All right, what's your final pitch for people to tune in and watch this weekend?
I think you're going to learn a lot about Ho-chunk culture. They're in our backyards, and yeah, it's really important to know the history and the culture and the heritage.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Well, Brett, thank you as always.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
All right. Episode comes out on broadcast November 1st and 2nd. So hope to see you then.
Bye.
Today's episode of The Cabin was hosted by Andrea Belke and Megan Christian and produced by Andrea Belke. Audio engineering and video teasers by Nick Cardarella and Megan Christian, with social media by Megan Christian. Production support by Gavin McLean. The Cabin is a production brought to you by Discover MediaWorks. To learn more, head to discovermediaworks.com and don't forget to leave a review.